Hey everyone, and welcome to the very first development build of Elysian Eclipse. For those unfamiliar with what this is a brand new game being developed by 7DAC Studios and Walsmont, and this is meant to be the spiritual successor to Spore. The concept has been around for a while, but they've only just actually started developing the game in January, and look at this, just how beautiful is this already? This is such a nice little introduction. It's different and refreshing, but still familiar and nostalgic, and yes, you can definitely spin the galaxy, which is a really nice touch. Thank you, Walsmont. Also, the galaxy itself looks beautiful, so if this is like a bit of an example of what we have to expect, I cannot wait to see the space stage. However, that's gonna be probably years from now. Obviously, indie games take a while to be made, and this one is very ambitious. Again, the spiritual successor to Spore, and I've heard of that a lot. I've heard many games try to be that. This is the first one that's got me rather excited. Now, as you can see in this development build, I've got access to the cell and creature editors. Let's go ahead and hop into the cell one then, shall we? Which immediately looks rather quite familiar and yet still refreshingly different. Now, obviously, bear in mind, this is literally version 0.1.1, so a lot is probably going to change over time, but this is a really nice first impression. It's easy to understand, it's clear, it's well visualized, and the cells, the whole membrane technology. I'm pretty sure this is metable physics, which is the exact same thing that Spore actually uses, with how the body and the limbs kind of mesh together, but Walsmont has taken it to the next level, and it just looks so cool, doesn't it? I love this so much. Also, a really nice touch, which like people have been asking and begging this in Spore for years. You can actually change the colors. It's such a small little thing, and yeah, just look at the difference it makes. It's so lovely. Now, of course, like I said, people have been asking modders to do this for years, and understandably, I'm not really able to. Spore's never meant to be modded, so it's really cool that Walsmont's had this immediately in mind. So look at that, does that already just look so cool? And it's just already so much more than you can get in the Spore cell editor. Now, unfortunately, I've not had a lot of time to play the editor just yet. I've made a couple of different rudimentary cell designs here and there, as you can see, but I've not had a chance to make anything big yet. However, you can definitely expect more videos of this in the near future, because I plan to really push the editor to its limits, which is good for bug testing and also good for me and you. Now, if we move on to the creature editor, currently it is basically the same functions as cell editor with all the same parts and features. However, the editor itself currently works just like the vehicle editor in Spore, where everything is kind of along this symmetrical plane here. I'm sure this is very temporary and again, work in progress, so don't worry just yet. But again, it's a really cool start. And perhaps you don't really like the shiny texture, that's okay, because you do actually have a skin texture right here. No patterns yet, however you can currently make a bit of your own patterns. So if I just quickly change the colours on this a little bit, in fact, I just thought, I think a nice creature to make like as a little demonstration would be a penguin. I know that's kind of random, but hey, you gotta admit, right, a penguin would fit like this kind of symmetrical editor quite nicely, or at least a little bean penguin. And as you can see, by the way, a really cool thing is that once you get a color you like, you can copy paste the HTML code onto every other part, and that is just so convenient. Oh, and also you can actually merge the different two types of textures together, and just isn't that just so weird? I love it. It's just so oddly satisfying. So let's see then, if I get a couple little parts like this, it's going to be a very, very fat and round penguin. Like I said, I've not had a lot of chance to play with this yet, but I plan on experimenting with it quite a bit. This part here is actually meant to be a locomotion, kind of like the cilia in Spore, but instead I'm going to use it as a feet. And one really cool thing I can do is actually rotate it like this. So now I can kind of turn it forward like that. I can also make it bigger and quite literally deform the parts, again, on every axis. It's just really cool, just the amount of thought is put into this, and this early in stage as well. Again, version 0.1.1, this is so early to be having these kind of features. Oh, and I just got rid of it. Now, one thing I find very appropriate that I'm just gonna quickly tease in while I'm working on this. We've got a little bean penguin so far, but a little fun fact, by the way. In case you're wondering, I'm sure like a couple of you are definitely wondering about this. If I just quickly do this, make that really nice and large and make that quite wide, do another little one down here. You can see where I'm going with this already. Now, obviously, I'm not really using the parts as they should be utilized, but hey, I could definitely make a chowie, which lately seems to be my go-to test. Not really intended, but it's a good bit of fun, isn't it? However, what I can still do though is use these little funky dark eyes here and make them forward pointing like so, and grab one of these little decorative parts down here, such as this little triangle. Now, obviously, again, work in progress, because I merged so many of the skins and membranes together, It's kind of made the actual skin itself a bit too large, but maybe I can make do. Thanks to the amazing customization here, I should still be able to like kind of maneuver it around, at least make it somewhat point outwards. Oh, and also free asymmetry, by the way. And then once I'm happy with the shape of the beak, I can then select the cilium feet, copy that coloration again and chuck it into the cone detail part, and now it's got a little beak. And so now you're probably thinking, oh, but Becca, there aren't really any parts or wings, is there? Well, thanks to how incredibly malleable these parts are, I could use one of these spheres here. See if I could try and make it just really long and really flat like that, and then kind of flip it downwards. Ah, see, that would work a lot better, but once again, because I stacked so many of the parts on top of each other, the skin membrane is just a bit too thick and it's kind of engulfing it. But again, I really gotta stress, work in progress for the first iteration. This is amazing. I could, however, just use more ciliums. I mean, the ciliums seem to be really effective for most things so far. And there we go there, we got myself a funny little penguin, which again, a bit of a goofy creation, but hey, you can really see the difference, like, especially the cilium part here. You can really just see like all the different examples of how you can manipulate it and change its shape and size, and it really works out quite nicely. Now, I'm sure you're probably wondering, how can you get your hands on this? The development build is currently only available to content creators and was1's Patreons, that way to actually help fund the development. His dream goal is to try and make this game available entirely free, but as we all know, development does cost and he needs the funding. So if you can't afford to get your hands on it now, that is okay, this will be out eventually. I cannot say when, but from what I've seen of what was1 has been saying over time, he does want the game to be as open as possible. So don't worry, all hope is not lost, you should be able to get your hands on it soon. In the meantime, I'll be sure to have a bit more practice with this and explore the editor some more, and crank out some really cool Elysian Eclipse creations for you. So, hope you're all excited. As always, I must advise a bit of cautious optimism, because we've seen a lot of promising Spore clones come out over the years, although I will admit this is the first one I've really been hyped for. But remember, game development is very tricky. Be excited, but don't hold your breath just yet. Little personal advice from all the promises I've seen over the years. So thank you all so much for watching, and I hope you've enjoyed it. Let me know what you'd like to see me try recreating this, and otherwise I will see you all next time. Cheers!